it in, perfect, look at you go. Same thing with your thermal. If you wanted to start recording, you can. Just keep in mind there are a lot of vehicles in here. Most of these vehicles belong to employees that work downtown, and they like to take naps on their breaks. So if you see somebody sleeping in their car, they're not dead. They're just sleeping. Don't poke in, with the thermal imaging camera going, what are you doing?
What you doing in there?
I know, right? I actually think somebody caught on to me being at this location night after night, and they put a crazy clown in their car.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Nothing new.
Nope. So I'll be honest, like the reason why I started a new route, and this is the old route, remember that, was because of this location. I had been touring in this location for 3 years, and I was finally getting unwelcoming messages. Like kind of just leave us alone kind of mentality. So we're going to see how tonight goes. So not to scare you even further, but this is a...
I love that for me.
I know, right? But welcome to a parking lot. I told you we're going to take you to weird spaces. This place used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney Mansion. It sat in the front of this space facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant and came all the way across, and we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So who the heck were Charles and Eliza Pinckney? I guess first off, with all of you folks with communication devices, I'm not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's White Horse, right? Like what we did over there with Big Red Barn. I'm going to withhold information on purpose so you all have a genuine experience. This way you don't know what the hell you're listening for. So no matter how silly of things you two hear, I want to know what they are, even if it is by IKEA today. So let's talk about Charles and Eliza. They had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses. Do you guys see why we look for those secondary clues now to verify? I don't know which Chuck we're chatting with. We need a clue. But the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. That's a big deal for us, but I hate politics, especially these past couple of weeks, right? Well, that turns all over the news. So, with that said, let's move on to Eliza. She has a much better history and story anyway. Eliza married Charles at a young age. Why is that holding steady at 20?
You said 2.5, right?
Yeah. You're all over the map. I gotta write those down.
Just check.
You're at 7. It was holding at 20, but you've had 17, you've had 15, and now it's back to 7, 4. So you're all over the place. So I'm gonna have to write down a small range. At this point, don't tell me anything below 20, because we're going to escalate it. That way I don't have a whole notebook full of just numbers. Because I'll be...
Anything below 20.
Gotcha. Yeah, 20 and above. Wow. So you must know I'm here. Wait, it went away. Whatever's there, it's a 0 now.
6.9 when I turn it around.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. I would tell you that the average baseline for that in this location is 18 to 22, and we normally see about 1 to 2 spikes of that, and then it goes all the way back down to 0 again, or something very low underneath 5. But we have had, I will tell you, if you guys are unsure of what that device actually does, it measures electrical fields in the air. So if you put that behind your TV set, it's going to read about 40 to 60 milliamps. So on the standard measure that we're using. If you put it next to a running microwave, it's about 150 to 170. The highest I've ever seen that device go has been here, 214. Yeah, we got the hell out of here. I told you I have epilepsy. I left. I'm not playing with that. So again, if you start getting near triple digits, we're gonna have to go. Just so you know, like you hit that 95 and above, we're out of here.
Did your radio just go crazy?
Yeah, mine's this whole time it's been like a steady white noise, and then all of a sudden it goes to music.
I can't tell what they're
and
saying.
then it goes, and like it's very
like
it's
within
not
the
a
last
steady
30
white noise
seconds
at all.
going crazy.
It's not steady.
I've
at all.
had static and just randomness,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden
Mine's-
craziness.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's not steady at all.
Remember, I haven't been here in a little over 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like I was gonna retire this spot altogether.
I'm honest. There's been a few times I feel like it's been like a screaming, because it's like it
Mine's
just
not
goes,
screaming. It just went from straight like static and like
So all of a sudden you have some kind of signal coming
Yeah.
through.
Yeah,
But right
I'm
before
hearing
the
a lot of
numbers-
music.
Right before the numbers took off, the temperature went up to 57, back down to 50. Like it got really warm all of a sudden, for no reason. And then went back down to 54.
That's right. And you're not recording it, so yeah, I know. I turned it off. Okay. Very interesting. I'll have to mark down that number. So that's a big drop. I will also tell you that the law of
There was
thermodynamics.
50.2.
Yeah, and then you saw 57, and it wasn't in your pocket or anything.
Right
So,
down.
law of thermodynamics basically states that temperature isn't created, it fluctuates. So, in a nutshell, if we have a warm spot, that means there's a cold spot being generated nearby. So, again, it goes back and forth a little bit. But let's continue on with the history here and kind of see what happens. So this is actually good that we're getting a little bit of activity already.
I'm getting a lot of music. Are you getting a lot of music?
I'm getting static with music breaking in.
It's all about the lyric.
say.
I don't want to know that you guys heard
I
Led
can't
Zeppelin.
even tell the lyrics without both of them in.
Yeah.
But mine's mostly static right now, but a few minutes ago, I had a bunch. I couldn't...
And you have the one that's recording, correct?
Yeah, she does.
Okay. So even if you're not able to make it out, again, this is
Yeah,
not an
because
easy
I'm trying
task.
to listen to you, and I can't listen to you with both of them
And that's
in.
why I say you can actually turn the volume up and down. It records even Steven. I don't
Okay.
know how it does it, but it's why we have it.
Okay.
So, again, it's not a big deal that you're missing
Because I'm
things.
trying to hear you tell the story, but I
Right.
have to have both of them in to actually hear.
I understand. And
Something
once-
about
very
world.
loud.
So once I'm done
I
with the
heard.
history of each
It
location,
just said something about
you
world.
guys will be able to spread out a little bit and actually start investigating the space a little bit further.
Now it's coming in clear again.
I love
I
how
don't
she's
know what's
analyzing
wrong.
every
Yeah.
minute of it. She's giving me a minute by
Well,
play
it's
by play.
funny because it's been static the whole time.
And then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
again, it's the space.
There's this one right back to where it was when we were over there.
Imagine that.
Naughty.
Again, that's why they call it
What?
ghost hunting. They don't stand still. Back to Eliza. Cool. Is that where we're
What?
at?
I heard naughty. I don't know what.
Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards. If you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, you two are...
Understand this shit. Literally in 3 different voices just now. Understand this shit or understand something.
We're trying to
shit.
understand it.
I'd love to understand you.
I got a lot to write down. Let's get through the history so I can start taking my notes. If you ask her how old she was when she got married, you're not going to get numbers like 12 and 14. You're going to get numbers according to today's standards of being young at marriage. The reason I bring this up is because Charles, her husband, was over double her age when they married. There was a creepy age gap back in the 1700s, definitely a creepy age gap now. So kind of take that for what it's worth. Yeah, but the reason why she married him is because her father was over in England and he thought he was dying. He wanted to bring all of his children home one last time so he could see them. Eliza didn't believe he was dying, so instead she stayed put and got married. It's 1744, and you don't get married in 1744 for a green card. You get married because you're in love, and that's basically, we're not even a country yet. You can't get a green card yet. So, Dad didn't die right away, which means, sorry, I was looking at his camera, which means Eliza was right. She didn't think he was dying, and he didn't die right away. Instead, he starts sending her gifts from England to this space. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. You guys have been in town for at least a day that I know of. You've seen the word indigo somewhere. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. That's how we use it today. She didn't know what to do with the seeds when she got them. She had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. It's obviously not popular all the time. So when she figured it out, she said, moving here, moving to a cash crop just south of here, gets a hold of her dad and says, rice plantations are going to shit. We're going to make a killing with this indigo. But anyway, now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times, which is something absolutely unheard of. So, that's the boring history of Eliza. I mean, it's very cool stuff because it helps start our country. But let's kind of go through some of the questions of answers I commonly, see it here at this location. So, with your Ouija board, you're going to have to kind of cherry pick with what questions we want to go with. I'm going to turn up your sensitivity in here since he is getting some EMF. But I'm going to give you guys a series of questions to kind of focus on. So that way you guys at least have one set of questions to focus on. With yours, I want you to go after Eliza's death. So that's going to be how old she was, what she died from, where she's buried, and what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So those are questions that I commonly get the answers for. You're going to have 2 sets of questions with yours. The children. You can ask how many kids she had and what their names were. That's it. The reason why is there's a tragedy among those kids. Don't poke the bear, we'll know it's you. Like, all activity will stop, just so you know. The mansion's also not here anymore. You can ask what happened to it and when did that happen. Like, a very specific date. Notice that none of these questions are yes/no answers.
So what happened to the children? How old
No,
was it?
don't ask what happened to the children. Names, how many? Names and how many?
The names of your children and how many?
Right, and then as far as like what happened to the mansion and when did that happen. So obviously we're looking for a very specific date. With yours, we're going to kind of cherry pick off of the mansion piece to see what kind of happened there.
I can't understand.
Oh, with your other spirit box, the one in your left hand. Now, Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles back to back. So his first wife died in January of 1744. He marries the one we just spoke about 5 months later in 1744. So kind of a jerk move, right? But both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. We're going to see which Eliza we're dealing with by asking what her maiden name is. So, I want to kind of take a quick peek at the word list real quick. Why it is interesting that today, yeah, I saw Tim on there too. She just doubled. Charles was double her age. Very interesting. All right, so I'm actually going to keep Josh. Am I getting names right? Have I screwed anybody's names up yet?
Not yet.
Okay. I'm going to keep Josh behind so I can show him how to use that motion sensor. The rest of you are going to spread out, stay away from the vehicles. Please do not go in between them.
In this parking
In
lot.
this lot only, from here forward.
So just ask me what her maiden name is.
I want to see where the
What
answer's going
happened
to
to
go.
the mansion?
All right. So obviously you've seen some numbers. Let me get some of those written down.
Her
so
name
I
was
remember.
Eliza.
Eliza with a Z. Yes.
Moses, name of God.
Remember, you're supposed to be asking questions.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I'm waiting.
That just said Indigo.
Did it say Indigo?
That just said Indigo. Walk towards that corner over there. Turn it up some.
Fridge.
I heard cringe. Remember, ask questions.
Who was the president that carried? Who was the pall?
Who's the president that was a pallbearer at your funeral?
Who was the president that was a pallbearer at your funeral? What were the other questions? Do you hear it?
What?
Like screeching?
That's just the white noise.
I don't remember the other questions.
Wasn't it questions about her death?
Yeah.
So, when she died?
Here. Let me try and listen to you.
I'm gonna stay by you.
Why?
Because I heard Indigo. When nobody says Indigo anymore but history people. Plus, if I see a demon again, you ain't getting away from me this time.
I heard Charles.
You heard Charles?
Yeah. Question for a skeptic. August 15th.
August 15th. Okay, so Indigo Trolls on August 15th.
There's 34. kind of like have a girl on girl conversation, you know?
Huh?
110.
I got never forget May 10th. Or 110.
So, just for the sake of me testing the waters of coming back here tonight, we did get the word kill spelled out on the Ouija board, so which is part of the reason why I'm ending this one a few minutes early. And again, nothing super positive is coming out, like, hey, Nick, how are you? You know, I'm not getting those kind of messages. Location. Again, if tours are going to be coming through here, we're just going to split the seas and let them pass through.
Yeah.
So just so you guys know. It's kind of nice that we have the whole alley to ourselves, but we're only going to spend about 5 to 8 minutes here. Again, we don't actually explore this place like what we did before. Bird. It's okay. When you get your video back, it goes to YouTube.
Well, and I'm blind as a bat, so I'm like,
That way you can
what
watch
is
it on your
that?
TV. I look at it, like when I'm watching that, it's on a nice large computer screen. Like I usually have 2 computers going when I'm putting your guys' data together, just because.
Well, it was like the little identifying little box.
Oh,
But
yeah,
from far away, I'm like, what is that?
It goes all over the place. Alright, so we all tell the same story down here. This is a staple for every ghost tour. That's why I don't spend a ton of time down here, because you may have already heard this. So this used to be Duels Alley. This is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. We all talk about the same duel, but you're going to get the story a little bit different because you're ghost hunting. You need different details than your typical campfire marshmallow type ghost story. So, by the way, it's super quiet down here. And there's a reason for it. There's a reason why I like to come here. A doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. I slow down on his name because it shows up here often. I'm going to turn down the sensitivity a little bit, just so it seems a bit better. So he moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money, so he tells Amanda, get rid of the doctor. So Dr. Ladd moves to Charleston to prove that it's not just after her. As he's coming into Charleston, the coachman that he was riding with set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start for his stay in Charleston. But somebody was walking by. His name was Ralph Isaacs. And I stop on him because he has the same initials as where the doctor came from. We do get R.I. quite a bit. Rhode Island, Ralph Isaacs. Before we even had the Ouija board device, it was showing up on spirit boxes. It was the weirdest thing. So, Ralph tells the doctor, dude, you don't want to stay here. I know this guy's going to try to kill you. He's got a gunman inside. I got some friends you can rent a room from at 59 Church Street. 59 shows up here a lot, by the way, as does the word church. Dr. Ladd takes him up on the offer, and him and Ralph become friends. They go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. His practice started to take off. So they had to talk about these plays on the way home. So one night they go see Richard III from Shakespeare, and they're arguing over the new actress. Dr. Ladd thought she was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. It gets even more heated when Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiance back home in Rhode Island. So, they go their separate ways. Ralph having his own friends here prior to the doctor, he goes to see his friends at the newspaper and puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a, you're a disgrace to society kind of mentality. Jerk move. Dr. Ladd sees the newspaper ad and rebuttals with, let's go to Giller's Alley. We're going to settle this. They come down, they took her 10 paces, they turned, the doctor pointed his gun in the air. Shot. One shot. He didn't want to kill his friend, which is often what happens at a duel. He just wanted to have courage and bravery to show up to the fight. But Ralph has his one shot, and he puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. Dr. Ladd drops to the ground, and he doesn't die. Carried home by his friends, where he died 10 days later, or 4 days later, depending on which version of the story that you're reading, because he refused medical treatment and probably tried to bleed out the bullet himself. Now, because the doctor was making so much money while he was here, and Amanda was moving down soon, he became known as the Whistling Doctor. I'm going to point out that every haunted city has a cliched whistling ghost. There's actually proof of this one, because I used to take my groups all the way through this alley, and we would be listening for the whistles. So before we started using earbuds on the spirit boxes. So it's a matter of turn those down, listen for the whistles. You should keep in mind if you're going to do this on your own, because I can't take you all the way through, and I'm going to explain. I've actually been kicked out of this alley before. That's the fun part of the story, and you guys will appreciate it because you're a fun group. But listen for whistles if you turn on your voice recorder. But keep in mind, every local knows the story. Anybody walking up and down Queen Street or Cumberland is going to throw a whistle down the alley. My garage, we passed it. It's right behind the Scotchman, so I have to pass this alley no matter what route I take. I throw a whistle down this alley every single night on my way home. Like, it's just one of those things. So even when my daughter's on the tour, we race to see who's going to throw the whistle first. So again, it's just a little game we play, especially if there's other tourists out there. So here's how I got through the alley. First off, you need to know that this alley didn't come all the way through. So it kind of stopped between, like, halfway between us and the street on Cumberland. So those bricks down on that side are older than the bricks we're standing on now. They're sun-dried bricks from slave workers. There's 4 handprint fingerprint swipes at the end of this alley. So we always point it out because we all need to see it. It shows how far we've come away from slavery. So no matter the diversity of my group, we're going to go look at those bricks. However, everybody wants to try to get paranormal activity out of that brick. And I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. That kid is not staring at that brick in the afterlife. Yeah, exactly. However, November 26th, 2020, my entire group is huddled around this brick trying to get a reading out of it. I'm trying to scurry them along because it's outside the dining room window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. I was out of bounds and new at this, and I didn't know exactly what I was doing yet, and he came out screaming. My daughter thought it was great because she was on the tour that night, and Dad's getting yelled at. So we moved on, and the next day was Thanksgiving. So I worked in retail management, as some of you already know, for over 20 years. I never worked in another Thanksgiving ever in my life. So
Sounds familiar.
So fun.
I walked away from it to do this. So at any rate, I did not have a tour that night, but I did get a phone call the next day asking me to go down halfway or to reroute my group. I did not think it was fair for my groups of 10 to try to investigate a space when there's 20 to 60 other people down there. So I told my group, I don't believe in the story we're about to go see, but we're going to talk about it and see what actually happens. And all I told them was we were going to be discussing pirates. I'm not a pirates guy, I'm a vampire guy. It's just kind of my thing. Now, before we left, somebody heard the name Anne on a spirit box. I did not tell them we were going to be investigating the female pirate Anne Bonny. So I went, oh shit, we might actually have something going on. We get down there, I told it a little bit I did know about piracy at the time, and somebody else hears the number 300. I'm like, I don't know what that means, we're going to look it up tomorrow. So I'm doing research. We were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her trial. So, I keep taking you guys back up there. I'm going to be honest, it is a hit or miss location. We actually had some decent activity going on at the Pinckney Mansion tonight. It wasn't like the best stuff I've ever seen, but we had something going on. This location that we're going to next is a hit or miss. We're either going to have a lot or nothing at all. And keep in mind, it is normally my finale. So that was the old route. So again, it is a very long story, and what I will tell you is you better be glad I have a master's degree in creative writing. Because trying to piece together a factual investigation on pirate lore is very, very difficult. So everything we're about to discuss at the next location came from a minimum of 2 resources. So again, I do my research very thoroughly. It is a very interesting story. Even if we don't get anything out of the paranormal piece of it, you're going to learn a shit ton about pirates that you never knew before. Nick's like, all right, I'm game for that. Pirates are cool. You guys hear anything, see anything before we leave this space? I know, you've been trying to listen to me. It's very difficult to do both.
Yes.
Anything crazy on your end, Kelly? You're kind of in charge of that. Any RI on your Ouija board? Okay. All right. So, and you've been listening to me because you've been super focused too. As far as your
I've been going back and forth.
Yeah, this is one of those spaces where we're not going to spread out and investigate, but the next place is like that, as is the last stop that we're going to go to. This is a great stop because, oh, by the way, it is always this quiet down here. It is like this on a Saturday afternoon. Like, I don't know why. This is probably one of the most picturesque
I think it's one of the most beautiful, picturesque places too.
Before we do leave, the gate behind me.
I've been staring at it this whole time. I'm like,
There's a
oh
reason
my
why it's here,
God.
and not many tour guides. I don't even know that anybody actually really knows this little tidbit of nugget of information. But remember that the alley didn't go all the way through. So this was a shortcut for the loser of the duel. They would carry him as a shortcut to get to the cemetery on the other side of this wall. Otherwise, they'd have to go all the way down to Queen Street and come back around. So again, I call this the death gate, just because, I mean, I don't know how many bodies have passed through here, but again, dueling was still illegal in the 1700s. So it wasn't like, you know, this was like a secret place. And the reason why this was cut off on one end is because this is where they held the livestock for the city of
Didn't you
Charleston.
just get 1700?
I did. I got 1700.
Well, we were also at Pinckney Mansion, so 1700s would definitely be relative. So I'm going to be looking for other specific numbers, like 93 and 22, but you also have that August 15th. So I don't know what that ties into. That could be tying into something completely different.
I know earlier I did get the 3 and 4, so that one.
Well, here's the thing about your spirit boxes. First off, you guys were all asking questions at the Pinckney Mansion site. We don't know where the answer is going to go. Not to mention, your 2 spirit boxes are slowed down. What color is the big red barn? Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. I don't need Rudolph the nosed reindeer. I just need the word red. So if you have 1700, she might have the number 22, which is the birth year of Eliza. You kind of see where I'm going with that? So again, it's a lot of putting the clues together to see what actually matches up. So the August 15th, we might not need the 15th. We might just need the August. You kind of see where I'm going?
Yeah.
Again, it's a matter of like really sifting through all of the bullshit to see what's actually going to match up. And it's not me reaching, because you'll see in your notes, but like this is vague, but...
You got August 15th, I got 12 and 13.
Yeah. So again, the only number that's really missing that would have been relevant is 14. And that's how long Eliza and Charles were married. 14 years before his death. Because remember, he was over double her age. But she has the word championship. I want to say that Big John was in a Pro Bowl in like 49 or 50. So again, it's very vague, but it's definitely not a yes/no answer. So, squirrel. All right.
I just saw a black cat walk that way.
Yeah, there's a lot of cats
squirrel
around
or something right there.
Oh no, there's a rat back here in this bush.
Don't say that, broski.
Something go scaring people. It's the rats and cats. In 1713, our story begins actually in 1708, right in the middle of its construction. A young lady moves here by the name of Anne Cormack. She's with her, well, by the way, they're leaving Ireland. She's with her dad and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Is everybody with me so far? 3 of them are running away from her father's angry wife. You guys got that twist? He had an affair, had a kid, or had to run away.
Oh,
Got it.
nice.
Yeah, sorry. Put it in a little simpler terms. So, by the way, how cool is it that they're going to leave Ireland? Like, just putting that out there, so you know, hey, there's no planes. But they landed in Georgetown, that's just north of here, between us and Myrtle Beach. Dad bought a plantation, Mom died pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Anne down here to sell anything from the plantation to keep things afloat, which is why we're here, familiar building. Anne back home in Ireland, though, was kind of a badass. She actually killed one of her servants when she was only 7, 8, 9 years old. Remember, it's pirate lore, with a knife to the belly. So knife and belly have shown up here in the past. Just putting that out there. So, fast forward, building's done at 13. By 1715, pirates are coming through town. Anne is stoked. Why? Because she's going to fall in love and earn her freedom, just like a man. And she does. Guy number 1. Yes, there's a handful. We're going to go through them. Guy number 1 turns out to be James Bonney. You already see where this one's going, right? Dad didn't approve. Filthy pirate. They go to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormack is now Anne Bonney, the famous female pirate. However, James Bonney is not the Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for, because every young lady wanted a Captain Jack Sparrow. Now, this guy turns out to be a privateer, which means he's a spy for the British, a coward in her eyes. So a few years later, she falls in love again. This guy is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. Calico Jack is literally the person that they based the Captain Jack Sparrow character off of in your Disney films. So, is this Captain Jack Sparrow that you want? Absolutely. The one. He has his own ship. Anne wants to be part of it. Can't put a girl on a pirate crew. Does anybody know why? Think family friendly. It's not the race question.
I was going to say she was
already got that one.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Females on a ship are bad luck.
Oh.
So, he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and hide your gender and look like the crew, you can be part of the crew. But you're going to be a female in my quarters. She She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to hide her away from his wife. She knows it's a man's world. She's going to follow the rules. So let's put 2 and 2 together. Being a female in his quarters, she's eventually going to get pregnant. Can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. So he drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby over here. These are friends of mine. They'll help you out. Come back later and we'll figure it out. She goes and has the baby, but returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to the child. So that's not the significance of this part of the story. The part is that she came back dressed as a female. And Jack knew about it, which made him very angry. Because everybody's going to know that he let a female on the ship. Now, while she was away giving birth to his baby, he captured another pirate crew. They're down below deck. She's going to go flirting with them just to make Jack even more mad, because that's who Anne is. We're on guy number 3, in case you lost track. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a male, that was to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack captured. So now we have 2 females trying to be males on the same ship. This young lady's name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Her and Mary became friends, possibly lovers, we're not going to really know for sure, but the British find out where they are, and they send a fleet of ships to take down one pirate ship. Anne and Mary, rumor has it, they were the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks, because everybody else was too drunk, they're down below deck. So Anne and Mary are trying to take on this fleet of ships, and they probably don't know how to use the cannon yet, they haven't been pirates for very long, but 2 ladies are not going to take on a whole fleet of ships. So, as they're being arrested, she looks at her beau, her captain, and says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up here a lot. Now, the judge wants to see the 2 men that fought back so valiantly on their own. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunk pirates that wouldn't fight, so they're dead and gone 2 days prior. Now, Anne and Mary go in front, they reveal their gender, he doesn't give a shit that they're female, they're still pirates, he's still going to hang them. "We plead our bellies," was the last thing they screamed out, because you cannot hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail and delays the hanging till after the pregnancies are over. Dad is still up here in South Carolina somewhere, and he bails out Anne because he has all of his Irish money. He brings her back home, she remarries, that's husband number 2, but guy number 4, because we're going to count Mary and we don't really know, and she has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. Yes, very abrupt ending. Mary Reed dies a year later in a Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. Use your imagination. Most of the books will tell you that it was feverish, and I say it's scurvy. Like, let's just go really nasty, right? Let's make it romantic for you. Use your own imaginations. So, with this location, I left out 2 questions. I'm not going to give you a whole plethora of questions, because by now you guys know what you're doing with your spirit boxes. The 2 questions I left out, you can pick and choose whatever you want. I left out the name of Anne Bonny's parents on purpose. So that's the father and his mistress. I also left out the name of Calico Jack's ship on purpose, so you guys had something to actually work with. So you can ask those questions with yours. You're going to use you're not going to get a whole lot of numbers here unless you're close to the bushes, and that's because of the parking meters on the other side, 2 electrical poles in the corner. With yours, if you ask Anne Bonny what her hair color is, she just might show you. So you got to pull up the REM pod, and it's the only time I've ever gotten a direct red out of that particular device has been in this location. So, some nights, she'll show you all night long. She'll keep showing it to you, no matter where you're standing. It's very interesting. Other nights, she's not here at all.
So what's the name of her parents, what's the name of the ship, and what's the color of her hair?
You got it. We're going to spread out. If you wanted to get some footage of the front of the powder magazine, those of you with cameras, you'll have to leave the lot and go in front of the bushes to the left. Just don't interrupt the other tours. Remember, again, I don't have a whole lot of friends in this industry, so I'm not trying to piss anybody else off. I got you guys. But yeah. The other tour guides love to stalk you guys. They do.
Say what?
They love to stalk you. Like, what's he actually working on now? You know, like, get it all
None of your
the time.
business.
We'll speak English.
So the name of the ship, name of her parents, and
Her hair color.
hair color.
Okay. Her hair color has come through on
Now I did get, when we first got here, I got Kelly.
Kelly.
Yeah. I didn't know, because as soon as we got here, I heard it went Kelly, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. No, I'm dead serious.
She's over it.
Kelly.
Kill and Kelly. She's done.
I would say so, right?
Talking about rain, like I'm sick earlier. That's great. I knew that.
I'm gonna guess this gets camera glares a lot. Lens glares. So I'm gonna guess this gets lens glares a lot. Cause I keep getting, like, if we're in a group, I can shine it past you and there's a glare around you. Huh? Yeah.
a middleman just then.
Will this get a lot of lens glares in some points?
Only one.
Only one?
Yeah, so I actually changed the lights up on that guy. Like
Mhm.
It used to have like this very bulbous things on here, and I changed it to the LEDs. You're gonna have one, and when I see one, I always make sure like it's moving with the camera, because if that's the case, then it's obviously not.
That's what I've been checking, because I'd get like if we're in groups, I get sometimes they're like a lot like a aura almost will be behind somebody, and then I can move it and it'll go away, and then
Yeah.
so I was just curious.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about getting a second one of these because you can stack them, and I want to crisscross them this way to see if it'll get rid of that center glare that moves with it, because you only have like one like U-shaped that'll show up on the bottom. But I'm still trying to even eliminate that because that can give people false positives too.
Okay.
But yeah, that other one, it was bad. It was. I just changed everything over about 3 months ago, maybe 4 now.
Yeah.
New camera, which is way better. This one is so much better than the last one.
Yeah, me and Autumn, we watch a bunch of we watch this one group on YouTube called they call it, they're Sam and Colby. Don't know if you've heard of them.
Yeah.
We've watched them use all of this equipment before.
Yeah.
And of course, she calls me a dork, but I've seen all of the Supernatural episodes, so I knew all about the EMFs and stuff like that.
Yep. I have to study all that stuff myself just to keep on top of things. So when that new device that Kelly has, I had to have it. I waited for the second batch to be built because I knew their first batches usually suck.
Yeah.
But I waited for the second batch and I had to have it. It's expensive as hell, but we're going to teach Ghost how to use it. So who better to do that than a guy that's working 7 nights a week?
Yeah. So how much did all this stuff actually cost you?
I actually priced it out one time just to kind of get a gist. And right now I'm sitting at about $4 grand. And that includes, some of the maintenance parts, my bag.
Yeah.
I use nothing but rechargeable batteries, all the extra cords and electricity I gotta, because my office is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I have a hub where everything just gets plugged in. I have 2 computers running to do all the data, but just the gear itself, like I got about $4 grand tied up in it. And of course there's maintenance parts.
Yeah.
I refresh everything every 6 to 9 months. That particular camera, the whole getup for that guy is roughly about $500 total. I actually just had to replace the camera.
Oh wow!
Because their charging ports, they're not soldered in super great. This is actually number 4.
Holy crap!
Yeah. So you got to remember, I keep that thing plugged in daily.
Yeah.
So the charging port on it isn't super great. That's the only downfall. I had to actually overnight one just so I can have it for my next tour. I do have a backup older style camera that I'll use, but it doesn't work as great as that one.
Yeah.
That one actually is, everything on it is perfect, but that damn charging port, if they could just come up with a better solder for it, would be great.
Yeah.
So, is Ann the one that had the baby that disappeared?
Shut everything down.
I say we start getting some of this stuff.
I got going home and see.
Going home and see?
It went going home 357 and then C.
Huh.
But it was like all broken up.
So
I started going that way. It said going home. And then I started walking towards the road. It said 357. And then when I went over here in this corner and I started walking back, it said C.
Used, it mainly picks up disembodied voices, and it's very rare that it actually comes through. Again, it's very seldom. So, the next location, any other questions about pirates that I might be able to answer? Because again, I'm a plethora of info about pirates.
Oh, I could listen to you all night. We'd all freeze to death.
We are going to go to Washington Park, and I want you to also keep in mind that that's a location where I'm still learning more and more about it, so I don't have a ton of history about it. What I'm going to tell you about the ghosts that we're going to be investigating there, they found me. When I got there, I didn't know who we were going to find for the first time. I just wanted to go there to kind of check things out. I think I was with a party of 2, and I was like, we're going to experiment tonight. It's November. Let's see what happens. We get up there. I'm like, I don't know who we're going to find, so let's just listen in and see what goes on. We had some gentleman's exact birth year, 1829, and we also had his name come through.
Wow.
Yeah, very interesting. So I was like, okay, and all over South Carolina. story that I know of is so far is very brief. I normally build the story based on what we're finding. That's how I learn about these people. So here's how this goes. Again, Henry Timrod, born in 1829, actually was very sick for most of his life. He tried to join the Confederate Army during the Civil War. His comrades sent him home because they thought he was too sick. And the area knew that he was a poet and a writer, so they said, go to the boys' home. So he started writing poetry based on the war. They started calling him the laureate of the Confederacy. So it's a pretty big deal. But in 1867, he's sitting at his friend's cottage. His friend's name was Paul Hayne Hamilton. He's sitting at that cottage because he had already lost his son. He was kind of depressed and he wanted to get the quiet place to grow. So his son was only 9 months old, by the way, when he passed away. So that's a very sad thing. Christmas Eve. I don't the exact dates. But at any rate, so he's sitting at his desk that he had at his friend's house, and he's writing poetry, and he writes his last line. It says, "Beholder, brief mortality." The irony here is that means person with a short life, and he dies. He coughs on the page because he had tuberculosis, and the cough lands on the page in a blood splatter, and they call this the blood clot, hence the word red, and why this is somewhat relevant. Now, the interesting thing about that blood splatter is that it actually looks like a man writing. I'm going to show it to you. It's very interesting to see. And they only display this blood book on one day a year. What day do you think that is? Halloween. Come on, guys. It's an easy one. Throw you a bone there.
It's too obvious.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But they only show that book on Halloween. Now, what I also like to do, after I show you the blood splatter, I always read the last stanza of his poem that he entitled Charleston, because it kind of makes sense in what we're doing here, and the hope here is that we're going to stir some shit up and get some more answers if he starts to recognize his own terms. This is the page that he was working on. Beholder of brief mortality, and it's written at the top, and then of course the blood splatter looks like a man writing at his desk.
Or a creepy bit.
Yeah, a little bit. So, yes, exactly. So, that's why they call this the blood book. And again, the last stanza of Charleston I find interesting just based on the state of the war at that point, and it makes more sense once you hear it. We know not in the temple of the fates, God has inscribed her doom. I find it very interesting that he calls God a female. And all untroubled in her faith, she waits the triumph.
I got child diagnosed.
Pain.
The child.
Triumph or the tomb. So for us in ghost hunting, it's the same thing. We're either going to find a lot or we're not going to have anything. The triumph or the tomb. But he's basically talking about the state of Charleston is going to be dependent on the state of the war. So again, very interesting guy. There's a lot of things. I actually bought a handful of books about him that I've been sifting through trying to find all of the answers. There's a lot of other tours like the past 2 years, so be careful with your filming. But this is your last stop. Your particular device is very interesting. We have either a shit ton coming through it or nothing.
The last spot, I didn't get anything until you pulled us aside and started telling stories.
Yeah.
12, 13. That was it.
It's great.
And it's been,
That was a 12 or 13 at the location. Wow. Because normally, like from the electrical poles, we'll only get up to like a 5 or a 6. So I got to write down that 12 and 13. That's kind of weird for that location. For sure.
when you started talking about sitting down on the bench or on the brick wall.
Wow.
But the whole time we were over there, it was between 5, 12, and 15.
That's cool. I'll definitely write those down. And the 9 actually matches up now to the 9 months on the sun. So 2 interesting things that I left out is the name of the son, the name of his wife. Both the names have shown up here in the past 2 weeks. I will say that since I've been coming to this location. So I'm not going to reveal those just yet. We're going to see what you guys find. And then we'll sit at a bench, we'll wrap this up, and I'll tell you what to expect out of your data tomorrow. So let's have some fun, get those spirit boxes cranked up, and get me some info on Mr. Timrod here. Let's see what we can find out. Let's do this. Definitely get your motions.
this just went all haywire because it literally overlapped.
Huh.
Because it was like going through the radio stations, and then all of a sudden there was something on top of it and went like, like it went like, it was really weird. It like it was trying to like, I don't know, because I don't know, freaked me out a little bit.
I'm not gonna lie, when we were sitting there, he was giving us the story. I'm gonna be honest with you, I think I caught 2 orbs.
Probably.
Because, well, I guess we'll find out tomorrow. But there was a car that come by, but when the car come by, a lot flew up the tree. So I don't know if it was a glare from it or.
I know, but I know rock come like through solid. It said rock. I was like, what? But there was also, it's like, I couldn't tell if it was like Dawn, like short for Donovan, and then it sounded like gone. But I'm like 90% sure it was gone. Like,
I know.
I'm gone.
I've been keeping my my camera on you, lady over there. Might go back here. Just because y'all have the ones that actually have to have the thing up on you. But there's too many lights around and I keep getting lens glares. What? Lots. Where the fuck did Autumn go? Oh.
random words to me.
Yeah.
It said, yourself, myself, notice me.
Oh,
Wow.
cool.
I mean, I'm trying. Like, I don't know. And then 10.
You got 10?
I got 14.
10.
I just got stabbed.
Oh, cool.
Well, the way you said that didn't sound very good. I just got stabbed right there. Alright, let's head over to this bench.
Here I am.
Is that what it said?
Yeah, it said here.